Well, once again, here we are. A new week ahead of us. And I'm bringing it to you by the term wonder. I was contemplating this as I was setting up to consider today's wandering celestial beings, our planets, and this memory cropped up as I think I was probably at Disneyland somewhere along the way, and Wild Bear Kingdom, if that is even the name of it, Wild Kingdom maybe. And this bear's head on the wall singing a song. I was born under a wandering star. Yeah, that's what the planets are. Those wandering pricks of light in the night sky that we occasionally, you know, are benefited by being able to see. And we just happen to have had over the last few days just spots of clearing in the night sky that we can actually see the moon as it's getting larger. And right off the bat, the moon is it's out of bounds. It went out of bounds on around the 9th, the same day that Mercury went out of bounds, and the moon will be out of bounds and kind of it switches back into bounds as the 13th becomes the 14th, or Monday into Tuesday. Mercury, on the other hand, stays out of bounds until the 19th, so the end of the week. And, you know, there is, let's see, Mercury out of bounds, Moon out of bounds. Oh, yeah, Mars, the other planet that's out of bounds right now. It went out of bounds on the 31st of December and will be out of bounds until about the 7th of April. That's a long out of bounds journey. And, you know, one of the factors that a planet, when it's out of bounds, brings into any equation is whatever that planet energy represents. When it's out of bounds, you know, there's a wavelength that you can't really necessarily depend on being a certain way, because out of bounds is kind of like, this is when a planet's, you know, orbital pattern, north and south, manages to wander, if you will, beyond a certain, you know, degree of latitude, that is 23 degrees 26 minutes of whatever the latitude happens to represent. It can go all the way up to like 30 or so. And when it does, it is really no longer, you know, caring or putting too much energy into what are the dictates to say, these are the rules you need to follow. When a planet goes out of bounds, it's kind of like, I got no time for no thinking rules. I got this energy that wants to explore. I want to, you know, get a little bit wilder in nature and stuff. So anyway, we got these three planets, Mercury, Mars, and the Moon, out of bounds as we begin this next week. And as I was, you know, got distracted from saying is seeing the moon over the last few days, you know, appear in the night sky, sometimes a little earlier, but at midnight, almost straight overhead. And it's in a north out of bounds area, means it's more directly overhead as opposed to a south declination. And you could see it, you know, right up there as we were going through the weekend, holding hands with Jupiter, right there beside it. Brilliant. And Jupiter is retrograde right now, and when planets are retrograde, they're a little closer to the Earth, so their brilliance, and Jupiter's no small planet, is just a bit more adamant. Mars, out of bounds, retrograde, also brilliant in the sky. And if you happen to see that reddish glowing planet a little further to the east currently, that's Mars. And the moon is in the process of moving between that Jupiter and that Mars. And so there's some energy afoot here that it will be good to, take in stride that we're heading for a full moon, which is going to happen on Monday. Let's find a chart. There we go. Monday. See, this is 8 o'clock in the morning. There's the moon at 20 degrees of Cancer. The sun is at 23 degrees of Capricorn, which means that when the moon gets to 23 degrees, it'll be exactly opposite the sun. The moon moves at about 1 degree every 2 hours, which means that in early afternoon on Monday, the moon's going to be full. And you can kind of see the moon is only 7 degrees away from the sun. That's about 14 hours. So as we go into Monday evening, that out of bounds moon and that out of bounds Mars are going to be shaking hands, and what might we expect? I was thinking about that. The moon, well, Cancer is ruled by the moon, but the signatures, a couple of the signatures that Cancer represents are home. And the moon has a changeable nature to it. And the moon's at home. And Mars, out of bounds. What might it energize? And also, Cancer also represents our ancestors. And if this particular full moon tickles a fancy within you to, what shall we say, rearrange your furniture, you might wonder, are my ancestors involved in this stimulation? They might be. And, a lot of times the ancestors definitely did not have the kind of furniture that we have. So, unpredictability, there's another out of bounds factor, could be in the air. Not only am I interested in rearranging my furniture, but could it be that there's another piece of furniture that's beckoning my attention? Oh yeah, it is a possibility. As we do the dance into this week, right off the bat, first thing, Sun, Uranus, our other retrograde planet, these two are forming a trine to each other. And trines are an energy 120 degrees that says that we are in an energetic compatibility that works. They're both in earth signs. And, Uranus, it has a certain unpredictability factor to it that can strike rather suddenly. This trine between our Capricorn Sun and our Taurian Uranus, what kind of potential might that work out? We have to keep in mind that also on this day we have that full moon toying with, the Sun and that out of bounds Mars. There's earth signs. They're practical. But, I would be reticent to say that practicality may not be everything that it's cut out to be, as you might choose it to work out. So this Earthian trine there between the sun, our vitality, and that, retrograding Uranus in Taurus saying, I really, I have economic considerations, I know that things aren't necessarily that clear economically for whatever the situation I find myself in. Yet at the same time, might there be a hint, or maybe even something a little stronger than a hint that says, oh, go ahead, take a chance, spend a little bit more right now. Utilize that economic factor that's sitting back there. Yeah, I have it designed for something else, but there's an unpredictability factor here that says, I might get tweaked by, that new moon, possible piece of furniture that I've been eyeing for a while. You have to make that determination. I would just put it out there for you that it's a possibility that something along these lines may be in the works. Monday. Trust that day. Okay, Tuesday comes along. There's a Mars day. And, we just had Mars in the Monday evening lunar Martian dance in out of bounds zone, stimulating us to, think, consider out of the box factors that you wouldn't think are factors that should be considered. And yet, an out of bounds kind of energy, sometimes it can take over. And this is moon we're talking. So you can feel that, that pull in this direction. Or maybe it's a pull in that direction. Something exciting is trying to get our attention. And the wandering stars, they're singing at you. Hey, are you awake to the possibilities of what it is that we're trying to stimulate within your living experience? Mars is impulse. Impulse in unpredictability? Wow, where could that lead? Yeah, where could that lead? And as we, wander on into the week, Wednesday is our Mercury day. Well, Mercury up here is out of bounds, remember. It's one of the 3 out of bounds planets right now, and will be out of bounds all week. So, what is Mercury hooked into? 2 signs. Gemini, which is where our Jupiter retrograde is, and Virgo, which is where the planetary nodes of the moon have just shifted back from Aries and Libra into Pisces and Virgo. So this out of bound Mercury, which actually rules in Virgo in this case, is saying that are there factors that have arrived from where? It seems like they may have arrived from a previous memory or an experience somewhere along the way that, because Mercury's Mercury, and it is Wednesday a Mercury day, what factors might we remember? Might be stimulating things that could at first appear like a dream process, is trying to get your attention. Because Mercury's in Capricorn, you have to say there needs to be some practicality. That's what the earth signs are all about, practicality. That is in this equation of where those thoughts, those experiences that you seem to perhaps only slightly have cognizance of from a time that you may not be entirely sure where it's arriving from. But it's there. Kind of like a niggling thing in the back of your consciousness that says, there is something, it's the South Node after all, that I might be attracted to because it reminds me of a process that perhaps I was really good at. And do I need to follow that? Well, the thing about that South Node of the Moon is that, and by the way, this is about an 18-month journey backward through the sign of Virgo that the South Node is going to go on. May not be necessarily to your best benefit to follow what you say. Well, but it comes so easily to me. Obviously, this is a calling of mine. Well, perhaps back in the day, you had that calling, and it may or may not have worked out well for you, but in the current energetic signature that the planetary dance, the celestial dance is going on around us, stimulating that South Node Virgo moon essence is saying, for all of us, has or have that energetic signature, and will it be beneficial to you to follow it? Perhaps some, but a word of caution always with a South Node signature, South Lunar Node signature, is that it doesn't necessarily represent a forward movement in the destiny line. That's the North Node. North Node's in Pisces. What kind of energy might be being stimulated by that kind of signature? Is my hour, that was 2 hours right there. And it's not the time frame I'm talking about. I'm talking about a process that says there's a deeper level of relevance for why at this time of that South Node Virgo node we might be, inclined to previous versions of our awareness. But we have to remember that the North Node in Pisces says that the reason or reasons for having that, foundation from something that happened before is to be able to utilize it in a way that we awaken. The North Node consideration, Pisces is a realm where the energetic signature, if you will, says that there is more going on below the surface than you realize. Are you paying attention? Because the North Node says that if you awaken to that in a substantial enough way, it can utilize some of that South Node signature in a way to awaken, if you will, an aspect within yourself, within actually the cosmos or the cosmic level of awareness of a beingness that is driving you from a place or toward a kind of awareness that absolutely requires your being awake. To challenges? Always. Opportunities? Possibly. About a version of you that has, from a soul perspective, been awaiting your awakening process your entire life. And Mercury out of bounds right now is stimulating that. You know, it's giving you that energy. You know, take the reins. It's Capricorn after all. Take the reins on your journey up the mountain to get a better view, if you will, of what opportunities await. Thursday is our Jupiter day. Whoops. Oh. Let's go back one more time to our Wednesday Mercury day. On this day, Venus here at 12 degrees and 49 minutes of Pisces. By the way, Venus is exalted in Pisces, which means there's a stronger energy signature that Venus represents. And Venus, by the way, is just above the western horizon after sunset. Very close. Is in square to Jupiter over here, retrograde, in Gemini. 11 degrees 56 minutes. They're really only a few minutes apart of that exact square. You know, and these is a water, earth, and air square. But it's Venus and Jupiter. These two planets, you know, gracing, if you will, the evening sky right now, if you happen to be in a place where the clouds or the snow or something like that might be obscuring your view, they're above us as we begin each night saying, are you paying attention? And I would give Venus perhaps a wee bit more upper hand here because it's going direct and it's exalted. But I would be cautious to try and curtail, if you will, even though Jupiter's retrograde, the potency of what it is that Jupiter in Gemini, the curiosity realm, might stimulate. And Venus says, you know, that stimulation, I think it should be shared. After all, it's Venus. Venus is the experience of how is it that we might discover something between us that draws us together to accomplish something, if nothing else, to discover aspects of each other. And in the realm of Pisces, which is where Venus is, this is the deepest, most profound realm of energetic percolation available to us. So Venus is asking us not to just surfacey cook up with one another, but consider the deeper, more meaningful reasons for why we are attracted to one another. There's something that our souls, when they recognize each other from this Piscean perspective, are here to do some very potent and meaningful considerations about why are we here? What brought us together to do something now? There is magic afoot if you can, shovel, kick, if you will, out of the way of your path the, what should we call it, the potential confusions that have been placed in our way to distract us from what it is that our souls came to accomplish. Well, now, and on to our Jupiter day. You notice Venus jumped already here. It's almost up to 14 degrees, so, it's just shifted past it. But this is Jupiter day. Thursday's a Jupiter day. Jupiter's still in Gemini, still retrograde. And we have to ponder the signatures. Okay. On this Jupiter day, something else is happening. That Mars, which was in play at the full moon, is being opposed right now by the Sun. 26 degrees, 46 minutes, 25 degrees, 59 minutes, which is it was just at 26 degrees. As actually as Wednesday shifted into Thursday, these two planets were exactly opposite from one another, shifting sides of this equation. But our Mars, remember, out of bounds until April 7th. Yes, retrograde. It's still Mars. There's a dynamism to its impulsive driving energy that the Sun being right across from it, stimulating, if you will, our vitality. There's a certain Martian feel to that vital side of us that this opposition is saying, from a Capricorn perspective, which is where the Sun is, of being able to recognize our placement on the mountain of consciousness and our function as something that has integrity is being, sparked up, if you will, by that Mars opposition out of bounds. Don't try and stay within a particular box. Out of bounds planets. I've been having a cough and cold since mid-December, and I'm getting better, but it's still lingering. This is a very unusual thing for me. Anyway, that energy of this Mars-Sun opposition, it's trying to awaken us. Everything is trying to awaken the soul if you pay attention to it. But what we might awaken to, because Mars is out of bounds and going to be there for a very long time, you don't know. The unpredictable factor is in play. And we go into the weekend. Friday's a Venus day. And we already talked a little bit about Venus, but look here. Venus is at 14 degrees 45 minutes of Pisces. Saturn's at 15 degrees 57 minutes. They're only a degree apart. And Venus is moving along at a clip because that's just what it's doing right now. So as we go into this weekend and we consider, Venus, what is on the docket, if you will, for our engagement with others beyond the work environment, which, we theoretically might leave behind as Friday decides to move into Saturday, and what kind of Piscean considerations might be up for us that we can utilize practically. It's Saturn, after all, that Venus is playing with. If we go to Saturday right now, you can kind of see they're inching even closer together. Yeah. Kind of like, allow this to just settle in with you. Our wanderers, conjoined up there in Pisces of, Saturnian control, Saturnian, if you will, the druthers of this is what needs to be done. It's in Pisces. So what needs to be done that might be more practical from a Piscean perspective, and our exchanges with one another, Venus, to, take another step into a deeper realm of what it is that can happen if, in our investigation with one another, we're willing to take chances, step across a imaginary threshold, if you will, into a zone we may not necessarily be comfortable with, but something that beckons our attention, says, I need to cross that threshold, whatever it happens to be. And any threshold crossing is an initiation. You just have to ask yourself, am I clear within myself that any process of initiation, once begun, will be maintained in its investigative experience? Sunday. What should we say? Sunday. The Sunday. Here's our sun, 29 degrees, 49 minutes, only 11 minutes away from shifting into Aquarius. On Sunday, the end of this week coming up, the sun is going to put on a new hat. It's still, traditionally ruled by Saturn, but a Capricorn version of how things unfold, and an Aquarius version of how things could unfold, are not necessarily the same use of that, ironically, that same Saturnian planet. Practical? Oh yeah, Saturn's always going to be practical. It's just that from a Capricornian, Saturnian side of the equation, the thing that is being emphasized is a functional control factor to essentially contain, if you will, the direction of a society. The laws, the rules, the regulations, what is it going to take to keep people under control. Aquarius's version is kind of like, I got no time for no stinking control. There's an eruption, if you will. There's that Uranian side of Aquarius. The Saturn saying, yeah, we need to keep it within, boundaries. And Uranus is saying, boundaries? Are you trying to curtail the creative juices of what Aquarius wants to invent in the next moment? There's a different kind of energy between Capricorn and Aquarius. So the new hat that we put on as Sunday ends this week is to experiment. Take chances. And it's Aquarius. Don't forget, we're doing this together. The group energy is stimulated more as Aquarius comes onto the equation to say, what is it that drives this particular group that I am a part of and draws us together to contemplate and share our considerations about what? About something we are all tuned into. I will talk more about Aquarius next week. But that's a potential wonder zone that this particular week is asking us to contemplate. Have you hitched a ride on a wandering star recently? You might find it interesting to contemplate. What is it within me? What is it within us that tunes into a particular planetary wandering star? And we feel excited by it. We feel like, have I been holding myself back? Not really allowing my energy to be pulled in a particular direction that, I've been sensing for a while. That, my friends, is all I have for this week. I want you to be adventurous. Be a wanderer. And let's do that together. Ciao. See you all next week.